Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft, and I'm back for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And I know I've been out for a couple of days, but I have good reason. My car just broke down a few days ago, and I had to take like 2 days to tow it to the shop, get it repaired. I had no idea what happened. I was literally at one of the busiest intersections near my house, and the car literally died in the middle of intersection. So pretty embarrassing, but I got it fixed up, so I am back in the business now, back into casting, of course. And today I wanted to do a game outside of DreamHack because I feel like I've been doing a lot of DreamHack lately. And I thought I'd go ahead and do a matchup with from the RSL, and this is going to be from two names that were really big last year and even the year before that. We have MMA here from Team Acer, formerly from Team Slayers, obviously, and he is going to be the blue Terran player in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. If you guys don't know who MMA is, he used to play on Team Slayers, was considered, I think, to be the best player on the team, and a protege of Boxer himself. And here he is. He's going to be playing in the RSL. This is from their tournament that just happened. Season 5 just happened a few days ago, actually. And I actually casted their, I think I casted RSL Season 3 live for them. So very, very cool. He is going to be playing against EG's Huck, who is going to be the green Protoss in the top left-hand corner. And, you know, both of these guys were really big household names. You know, circa 2011, 2012, but they haven't really been making too much of their presence felt lately in the StarCraft 2 scene. So I'm kind of hoping here that with these two big names going at each other, that we'll have a little bit of that that old history. They don't have too much history between themselves, but a little bit of that old, you know, classic StarCraft 2 names going against each other should bring back some of that good blood, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this match is going to go down. I'm only going to be casting the third game of the set. Right now it is tied up 1-1, and this is the final game between the two players. So we can see that MMA here is going to be going up to the top, and it looks like he wants to go for some type of proxy here. I think he's going to be going for a factory because he's already got a barracks down in the main base, so he is going to proxy a factory here, and here comes the factory. Now I should say that games 1 and game 2 between these two guys in this set were pretty standard, nothing too crazy. They ended it before 20 minutes each, and first game Huck won, and then second game MMA won, which is a really kind of standard big army push out and then own you. And MMA, kind of his playstyle to date, and has been so, is a Marine Marauder medevac style, and you know, that's the classic way of playing StarCraft 2, Terran versus Protoss, and he's kind of stuck to his guns. And it looks like here he's going to be coming in with the Reaper. And the Reaper, of course, with its speed and its mobility and agility, they actually can kill off Zealots as long as you micro them effectively until the Stalker comes out. And now that the Stalker has arrived, it looks like MMA is going to have to pull away. I do have to say, very excited, because I don't think I've been casting enough Terran versus Protoss, and it's the one matchup that I've been kind of neglecting. And if I am going to start to get my feet wet again, I do feel like MMA and Huck are two players that I would definitely like to revisit here, as it's been some time since I've casted these two players as well. And it looks like here MMA has brought his Reaper all the way back home. He is gonna die because that Stalker is just kind of OP against Reapers. But now with the bunker up and online, the Zealot and the Stalker will not be able to come any closer into MMA's base. Meanwhile, MMA has produced a Widow Mine out of the factory. He's got a second Widow Mine on the way as well. Now the early Widow Mine is pretty dangerous because Huck doesn't have a robotics facility, although he does have one on the way. The Widow Mine, if it can get underground in time, oh, it will! And you can see Huck here says, oh, I gotta pull out of the way because it's just too risky to stay next to it. Now MMA bringing the Widow Mine just a little bit closer, and even though it takes 3 seconds to drill underground, it's just enough here for MMA to get it under the Nexus, and now this mine is going to start to do some damage. And the annoying thing about this, really, for a pro player isn't, oh, I'm going to lose a ton of probes. It's just that I have to pay attention. Every, you know, 40 seconds or so, I've got to bring the probe out of the mineral line, and I've got to prepare to let this probe be sacrificed. And even then, it's not guaranteed, because a lot of times the mine just kind of picks a target. It picks whoever it really wants to go for. And so here we go. It looks like the mine is online, and oh, it's gonna go to the left, and it kills off about 3 probes there. Pretty devastating. So 4 workers have gone down, and finally the observer does come out. So the Widow Mine does get killed off, and it's probably unlikely that the second mine will do much damage. And you know, MMA knows that, and he says, all right, let's go ahead and pull this guy out of here, get it back home, and you know, use it in a place where it won't be spotted. you know, maybe somewhere hidden on a ramp, or maybe all the way back in the main base or something, or the natural expansion. Because one thing I will say is Huck, throughout this set, and really his playstyle, it's heavy gateway pressure, and if it doesn't work, a lot of times he will go into warp gate play, or not warp gate, but warp prism play. And against the warp prism, the Widow Mine is a great defender. So if MMA brings this mine back home, he'll be able to plant it down at all the common warp spots, and that will be able to shut down the warp prism that Huck likes to use so much. And it looks like we have another Widow Mine back here, and it is going to be picked off. It was able to kill off one unit, maybe one probe or so. So not bad so far from the Protoss player, or from the Terran player MMA. He's killed off 5 workers already. It looks like Huck trying to return the favor with the proxy pylon, but it's taken out by these 5 or so Marines from Slayer, I was gonna say Slayer's MMA, but from Acer MMA. So really nice job right here. And to start the game off, I have to say, he's looking pretty good, although his supply is a little bit under Huck's, about 7 supply underneath it. But at the same time, I feel like MMA has a grasp on this game. He's done damage, whereas Huck has not. And now all he has to do is resist this counterattack, which is comprised of a couple of Immortals, some Sentries, and some Stalkers. And we do have more proxy pylons coming up. And remember, I said that Huck's, you know, his kind of game is heavy gateway aggression. And actually back at home, he only has 2 warp gates and a robo bay. It's kind of weird because he really doesn't have that many gateway units. And I wonder, is this because he was forced to go for an early robo due to the Widow Mines because he needed an observer? And now this is kind of a weird attack, and I don't know if it's going to be able to do any damage. I mean, honestly, there are 3 bunkers here, and Huck is going to be able to kill off 1 bunker, but that was the empty one. Now he's going to go for the 2nd bunker. He does take it down, but I don't think he's going to have enough to bust through here. We'll have to see. MMA does have a medevac on top as well. He needs to unload these 4 Marines that are inside the medevac, and there we go. He unloads them. The medevac now able to heal up everything underneath. The bunker being mass repaired by these SCVs, and Huck will have to pull out of there. And really, a lot of resources squandered in that attack. He's lost about 3 times as many in resources as his Terran counterpart has. And now he's fallen down in supply. So Huck with a ground assault, a little bit of an awkward timing, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and I think you know, since these players have played a couple games already, MMA's he knows the playstyle of Huck. And everyone kind of knows that Huck is very heavy on the gateway aggression, so you've got to be very careful in the first 10 or so minutes of the game, because that's when you can fall susceptible. And Huck's build orders, his strategy into that aggression is so good, it's so clean. You know, he practices his micro and his builds very, very much. So it's one thing that you have to be careful against Huck in the early game, and if you can withstand that pressure, then in the middle stage, in the later stage, then I think MMA's got a bit of an edge over him. And we'll see here as he's going to be pushing out with a sizable army of Marines, Marauders, got a Widow Mine in there as well, and a couple of medevacs. And it looks like he has got a round of upgrades for his bio as well. So this is going to be pretty hard, I think, for Huck to stop. And not only does he have to stop it, but he's got to worry about being on 2 bases here for a prolonged period of time. You really don't want to stay on 2 bases past, you know, I'd say the 15-minute mark in Terran versus Protoss. That's pretty dangerous. And we're getting close to the 15-minute mark here. We're about 12 minutes in. And here comes this attack from MMA. Now, the nice thing is Huck has Mothership Core. He's going to Photon overcharge his Nexus. Great save right there from MMA, though. 1 Marine that was stranded beyond the force fields is picked up and brought back home. So a very nice job right there from MMA to save that. But one thing I will say is Huck has got a lot of Immortals here. 4 Immortals. It really discourages these Marauders. But MMA, really at this point, he doesn't need to produce too many more Marauders. You could just stay on Marine heavy production and even go into Ghost. And in fact, he's got a Ghost Academy on the way. And you know, with Ghost and their EMP shockwaves and Marines and their ability to do damage underneath the hardened shield of the Immortal, I don't know if Huck is going to be able to, you know, stay on this Immortal tech for so much longer. Although MMA is still producing a lot of Marauders here. And here they go, they're pushing out in the middle of the field. Meanwhile, in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have a probe hiding from Huck. I'm not too sure what he's planning to do with this, but I mean, obviously he wants to throw a pylon up, but I don't think he's going to throw like a proxy building at this stage in the game. I think he just wants to get a pylon up, warp in some zealots, and try to distract MMA, if at all possible. He's got another pylon over here on the right-hand side as well. Meanwhile, MMA's got a Marine on the right covering this expansion. but Huck wisely sending a Zealot to escort the probe. And so Huck is thinking here, hey, I've got to get a third Nexus down. We're getting close to the 15-minute mark here. And he knows it, so he's going to go for the expansion. At the same time, MMA also going to the bottom left-hand corner, and I think maybe Huck was just waiting for that expansion to land first before throwing the pylon down. And we'll see what happens here, but I mean, MMA has total map control, and if we look in the upgrades right now, it is 1-1 for MMA and 1 for Huck. But he is getting a round of upgrades of his own. I think if Huck can just wait it out, get charge going, get +2 weapons, and maybe establish his third Nexus, he's not in a bad spot. He's only down by about 6 or so supply now. But these Zealots trying to run in, they are going to get surrounded by all sides. And I like how MMA has added in a couple of Hellbats into his army just for good measure. And if you've never seen Hellbats against charge lots, or I mean Zealots of any variety, Hellbats kind of own them. As the Zealots come in closer and closer, they just take more and more damage. So Huck will need to add on different technology here to deal with those Hellbats. And Colossus isn't a bad idea, simply because, you know, the range is just such a factor that the Hellbats never really prove to be much of a threat against Colossus. So I think Colossus are a pretty good idea here, and Archons aren't a bad idea either, if you can get some Archons out on the field. Although right now it looks like he is thinking about going for some Zealot counterattacks here with these 4 Zealots, but MMA is ready. He's got a bunker back here. In the meantime, though, Huck has brought in a Warp Prism and 4 Zealots going right into the main base of MMA. And this is exactly what Huck needs to do. He's got to go for these little side counterattacks and hope this is going to be enough to curb the anger, the ferocity of MMA. Meanwhile, these Zealots coming into the bunker, but the bunker has already been erected, and that is going to protect that expansion in the bottom left-hand corner. In the meantime, Marines here coming out of the barracks, and they should be enough to withhold these Zealots and the Warp Prism, so that Warp Prism is likely to go down. Meanwhile, Huck, in preparation to defend this expansion, has Photon Overcharge online, dropping down the Force Units as well. Time Warp Field coming down. A great setup for Huck, but does he have enough forces here to hold off this many Marines and Marauders and Hellbats? It's going to be pretty close. The Nexus continuing to do damage against the biological forces of MMA, but Huck is dropping in supply. He's only at 84 right now. And it looks like, I think MMA is going to win this fight. He's just got too many Marines and Marauders, and mostly he's got a ton of medevacs healing these forces underneath as well. And Huck has to call GG, so MMA is victorious. So actually another sub 20-minute game here in the set. And like I said, I didn't cast games 1 and game 2. But I really wanted to cast another PvT and felt like this was you know, a great setup with Huck and MMA, 2 of the household names, and a pretty good game right there, and a dominant victory, I feel like, by MMA after Huck's failed early aggression. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I have a couple more games I want to be doing for you guys, and I know I said I wanted to try to cast a game a day. Definitely going to try to keep to that here, at least a game a day. So I'll be hopefully doing another one tomorrow, and maybe even today. We'll see what happens, but for now, this is HD, and I am signing out.